South by Southwest. Good reactions?
Oh, it was great. That was the first time we played in front of an audience, and it's always a little nerve-wracking, you know, because obviously you've worked really hard on something and you fall in love with it, and you hope that others do as well. And it was in a church, which was just...
It was in a church?
It was a church, and that's a big part of Cloak and Dagger. The reaction was great. It was really great. So now we look forward to this one at Wondercon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going along the side of, even having a screening at a church, it seems like the show is going against a whole bunch of norms, even having you as a director for...
Sadly, yes.
No, I mean, sadly, but I think that's the progress there. I mean, what is that... without being too cliche, but what does that mean, and how is that going to translate in, you think, future episodes of this show and the other Marvel properties out there?
Yeah, I mean, it is a strange thing that there are not more women directors as a whole in Hollywood, but also in terms of the Marvel Universe, because there's so many great female characters that need to be brought to screen, and obviously we're going to choose characters we're passionate about, and those a lot of times are female characters. And I think we bring a cool aesthetic. I mean, my big thing is character, creating really strong characters. I love damaged women and putting them up on screen, and these people you can root for. So, and that's what I love about this show. These two damaged characters who find each other. It was right in my wheelhouse, and then I get to do stunts and special effects, which is really cool. Go for it.
So with these two characters, because it sounds like you're doing a lot of it sounds like a little bit of background information on them, and these two characters that are flawed, and they come together, and they're building up into these superheroes. Where are you planning on taking them?
Yeah, that'll be a question for Joe. I am now, like everybody else, a viewer. Once I shot the pilot, obviously I know where they were going, but it was exciting, honestly, to see the trailer they just dropped, because I was like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing with them. But it was just fun to establish the look and the feel and help with the casting and find two incredible young actors in Olivia and Aubrey.
Are you coming back to do more?
Well, now I'm trying to do this on the big screen, so unfortunately I don't have time to come back, but I will absolutely be watching.
So what was one of the favorite things that you did with these two characters?
Honestly, my favorite thing was casting. It was a very big push to find real teenagers, and it was literally 3 days before we were supposed to leave for New Orleans, and we had not found them. And when you get to that point, people start thinking about settling. And personally, I watch TV. I hate watching high school shows and they look like they're 30. Like, I want to know that they're really in high school. And Olivia and Aubrey came in on that last day, and they were so good individually, and we were so excited, and then we put them together. We did an improv with them, and it was electric. Like, you felt like you were watching the show, and it was a really beautiful moment, because it's scary, one, for the team as a whole, but two, as a director, because it's my job to bring out performances and make sure the show's good. And I was thinking, like, how am I going to tell this story with these actors that I don't think are right? So finding them was my favorite part.
So one of the things I think is really, especially shooting something that's about New Orleans, that has things set in New Orleans, and shooting in New Orleans, which you guys did. Can you talk a little bit about doing that and bringing the city to life?
Yeah, it was really important that it was a character in the show, and especially if you're going to shoot there, it's a beautiful city. Not only the look, but it's got a beautiful history, but also a really heartbreaking history as well, and we wanted to bring that into the characters' lives. Tandy lives in the trailer park, and we want to make sure that a lot of these trailers that we used were some that were damaged in the hurricane and have the X's on them, but also we wanted to bring the beauty of it as well. And then it was just fun to shoot there because of the food. It is not a cliche. It is great. It's so good.
Now, beyond just the characters in the city, you said that you did some things with the special effects and with the stunts. What were some of those things that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I will say one of the things I enjoyed, but it was also the hardest thing. It's kind of a spoiler. Okay, there's a big scene at the beginning which involves water, and I found out that our cast does not know how to swim. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to shoot this when people are underwater? So that was a big challenge. But after the panic to the panic, then you figure it out. And it's the whole opening is, I think, is really great. And for me to watch up and see that, oh my God, I got that when no one could swim, I'm very proud of that.
Did you have to get involved in getting wet or any of the things that?
Well, my DP, Tammy Riker, who's amazing and helped me create this look of the show, which is so cool and grounded and filmic, she's certified, so and she does her own camera, which is also the reason why she's badass. And so she was underwater, thank God, and yeah, a big help.
Final thought for you. Marvel, I mean, the cinematic universe has this thing where directors are, at least in recent with Black Panther and before that, having directors just kind of hands-off approach when it comes down to what they can tackle, and their creative license on things is pretty much untouched. Is that something that you were also given the ability to through Jeff and wanting to just create what you saw to be Cloak and Dagger as opposed to the executives and all those other guys?
I mean, that was the beauty of this. I mean, I don't like feeling ever like a director for hire where people are dictating, and so that first meeting was going to be very telling.
Yeah.
And we were all completely on the same page of the vibe that we wanted for this. And then they let me bring my team in, which is Tammy Riker, the DP, and my editor, Terry Shropshire. A lot of female energy up in there. And it was just letting us do our thing. And that is, I mean, it's a gift. And I feel like we got to bring something great to it. But it started with a really great script as well as the show wrote.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
We all worked. I think, yeah, obviously the show's coming out at a time where, I mean, culturally too, ideas of polarizing themes of darkness and light and how that kind of flourishes itself into things that are happening right now. Are you surprised that a lot of what you guys were writing is relevant to today, even more so?
Sadly, no. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I think we're learning more about it, but you know, tomorrow there's going to be a big march, and teenagers are leading us, and I think that's no coincidence. I'm happy we're able to tell a story that bolsters, you know, again, you look at these kids from Parkland and how they're basically trying to be superheroes. We're very fortunate to hopefully support that idea.
Cool. And looking forward, you know, to future episodes, is a lot of you and the writing team going to continue to kind of maybe put an ear down to what's happening in the world, or is it just completely, for you as in the comic background, something that you just want to take entirely from the characters?
No, I think it's important. I think that's what Marvel's always done. Even like with the original Cloak and Dagger, they were trying to, you know, it wasn't always artful, but when Power Pack and Cloak and Dagger were trying to deal with drugs, they were trying to do well. I think Marvel, when I was growing up, kind of did that for me.
Yeah.
So I think what we want to do is me and the writers talk a lot about what are some real crimes that are more evil than the things we read in comic books. There's a lot of things that we kind of turn a blind eye to, so it'll be fun to shine some light on it. Sorry for the horrible pun. But I think we want to tell emotional characters about stories about our characters first and foremost. And I like the idea of some Marvel heroes that are dealing with some real problems.
Yeah.
So are you able to tell us any of the things you're hoping to shine a light on?
I can tell you the things I'm looking into. When I was working on Underground, which was my last show, I was talking to someone who was an expert on slavery, and I was asking him where in the world is slavery still the worst. And he pointed right to the highway, and he said that we don't deal with this in season 1 at all, but it's really interesting, and there's so much human trafficking going on in the United States, and I know nothing about it. And so it feels like if we can make an entertaining enough show and put these two beautiful, talented kids in a way that, honestly, if 3 million people watch the show and one of them sees something at a truck stop and stops something, then good on us.
So, you know, the idea of putting it in New Orleans, and I know New Orleans has had a real issue, especially after Katrina, gentrification and the, you know, rich white people moving in, and while they built things up, it pushed black people out more, and we had this couple of, you know, white women and a black man in New Orleans. Are you going to be looking at that dynamic a little bit? I know I can't remember from the comics, one of them is rich and one of them is coming from what's the background on that? Can you talk a little bit about that?
We flipped the script a little, so it's we actually had them start from very different socioeconomic places and then swap. But I think it's important. I think, one of our big bads is a corporation that does exactly what you're saying. They kind of take advantage of communities, and sadly, business interests are more important than the interests of the community. And again, kind of like the Parkland kids, Tandy and Tyrone are the ones who stand up and say, hold on a second, this isn't fair. And they're the one, season 1, without spoiling too much, is a boy against an entire police department and a girl against an entire corporation. And it's a good fight.
Just to be clear, this big corporation you're talking about is Roxy.
I feel like I need a lawyer right here. I'm sorry, I cannot comment.
It sounds like you're dealing with a whole bunch of real life situations. How much are you going to be going into their powers that they have and the superhero side of it?
That's always part of it, but I think what I wanted to do is I've never been angry at a show for leaning into the emotion and the character. So I'd rather be inclusive and feminist and awesome and make you cry from a scene between a mother and a daughter. But by the end of it, they are saving the city. So I'm really happy with what the writers and I were able to come up with in terms of pace and how each director for every hour was really able to kind of latch onto the theme and make a different hour every week.
Big character development is like something that Marvel TV does very well, and they like flesh out their characters so well. Is this like how we're gonna see Tyrone?
Absolutely. It's funny when we talk about how kind of racist and sexist the old version was. One of the things that drove me crazy is the kind of Tyrone is associated with fear and Tandy is associated with hope. So we blew that up and kind of put Tyrone on a spectrum of fear to bravery. And so we'll see Aubrey in really an amazing performance start off as a scared little boy, and over the course of 10 episodes, with some pitfalls and some setbacks, find his way to be a hero. And then Tandy will start off cynical as shit, sorry for swearing, but it's about her climbing back and finding hope, and then getting knocked down again and deciding to be a hero or not. So I think what we're hoping to do is what Marvel does really well on the film and the TV side, really have people grow into their responsibility.
Yeah, there's some conflict there that they're going to have, not just with each other in the world, but within themselves.
That's exactly it, and I think that's the most exciting thing to me. And I think we were able to do in 10 episodes a kind of little mini hero's journey where they go through the entire ringer, and hopefully by the time we get going in episodes 3 and 4, you really start seeing yourself in them. So it becomes your battle, and it's hard not to watch these two kids and just fall in love with them.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
I come right this way.
Of course.
Hi.
Well, after you sit down, can we ask you to scoot over just a little bit? You get to that was an amazing outfit, by the way.
This one's happy.
Both of you guys, both
I was gonna
black
say,
and
you
white, like this, it's spot on, like straight up.
I know, they're already in character.
We literally didn't even plan it.
That's a lot right there.
No, I promise. I took a picture of my outfit this morning. I was like, I feel so extra.
Good.
And he was like,
Both of y'all spot on, like I said, y'all are up in Cloak and Dagger to the 10s right now, so.
So we can get that in the front. Thank you.
Hell yeah. What's good, guys? Good. So Cloak and Dagger. Now, do you guys have any previous knowledge, or do you guys research the characters at all?
Yeah, I had no previous knowledge of the comics at all. So obviously for the audition, I had to read, do my research.
Had to brush up a little bit.
Comics, but I'm a fan now.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful series. It was way ahead of its time.
Oh, absolutely. Even especially in today's climate, will the show kind of have any underlying message? Because the racial diversity, as well as the characters, as well as the actors playing them.
I think if any show on TV has a message, it's this one.
yeah.
Absolutely. We have diverse backgrounds.
I think across the board we have there's an undertone of so many different topics that I think are going to be really great for the audience to hear and witness and to relate to and cope with. And I think first and foremost, it being in New Orleans, which is a city that has overcome so much in the past, and I think that really speaks to Tyrone and Tandy's character. They're overcoming so many situations as teenagers. They're both very damaged souls, and they are going through a lot on top of developing powers. So I mean, it's a lot that they're going through, and and I think there's definitely a bunch of heavy topics that we've discussed, but it's subtle, but it's there, and I
it's
think
not forced. Like we're trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
It's
There's a good balance between
Very
it's a
good
comic book show and a show with a message.
Yeah.
right, and it's all about just these are real people, and this is what real people go through. And I feel like these stories have to be told because so many kids that go through these things feel like they're alone, and that nobody goes through, because I must be unique because I go through this, but everyone has to find themselves. Everyone goes through the insecurities and things like that. So it's going to be good for kids to see themselves, and not only the teenagers. I think it's just a show for everyone.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys are going through some heavy issues with these characters. Is there anything that's a little more lighthearted or fun?
I think there's some cheeky and witty moments throughout the season, which is nice. It kind of breaks up all those heavy topics, and I think for us, it's important for Tandy and Tyrone's relationship. Yes, it is complicated, and yes, they are going through a lot, but they also are teenagers, and they're going to be a little sassy with each other, and they're going to, have these love-hate relationship fights, but I think it's important for, it to be fun and to feel like, they're kids and not just stressed out kids all the time.
And as much as we, once you spend enough time around a person, like you start to, have your first argument and things like that. But no matter what, like, oh, this is like a pun. No matter what, I mean, Tandy brings light to Ty's life. Literally.
I mean,
So-
both in the show and apparently now in real life.
It's the truth. It's
Literally.
the truth.
So,
Two questions for you guys. I want to bring up what your director Gina for the pilot brought up, and your guys' chemistry. Did you guys hit it off pretty well when it came down to?
I hated him.
audition?
I hated this guy.
Okay.
It was, and I try and not use, I try and use this word lightly. It was magic. It really was. We read with a bunch of people, but I think, once we went into that room and we had an improv scene together and we just fed off of each other so well. And I think both of us leaving that room, whether we felt like we were going to book the parts or not, it just felt good in that moment. And I think that's something we can never, take back. And I think we'll be able to hold on to that forever. And then we saw each other at the airport like 3 days later, and we were like, hey!
but yeah, like going off what Liv was saying, it's just like such a big part of the acting period is just being invested, and I was in the room with Liv, and she was so invested, and I was so invested, and it was just like, the only way you can really have a show that's grounded is if the actors come to set and they're ready to tell a story and they're invested.
Speaking of telling a story and just kind of staying connected, will there be any nods or hints or inclusion into the greater Marvel Universe as a whole, with other TV shows or even the movies? Or is that a no-no topic?
We hope so.
We hope so.
Yeah, we hope so.
Take it.
And then just quickly that follow-up. I want to bring up a follow-up that your showrunner Joe brought up in regards to tomorrow's march.
Yeah.
That's happening. You guys, obviously, your generation, our generation, is in that right now when it comes down to standing up for what you believe in and speaking up. Do you throw your weight behind that now that you've done a show like this and reading a script? Has it changed your worldview at all? When it comes down to being a change agent?
I mean, I think, any project really changes, who I am as a person, but I think it more so just showed me that I have a responsibility now, right, to show people where I come from, that if I can do this, anybody can do this, and people look up to people like us, so we also just have a responsibility to speak out, period. And to speak out for people who can't necessarily speak out.
I mean, I've said from the beginning, I feel like this show is a game changer in so many different ways. And regarding what's happening right now in this day and age, I think it's so important for us to be able, as people who are living it, to be able to tell that story. And I feel really grateful to be able to talk about these topics and start an open dialogue, which is so important for not just like our generation here, but even the generation to come, or the people older than us. I think it's just so important to all be opinionated, but to respect each other and to stand our ground and to be bold and resilient and have have an opinion and stick with it, and to be able to stand up for what you believe in. And I think that that's exactly what Tandy and Tyrone are doing.